Hello and welcome to another episode of the Highlight Reel. My name is Nick Lynch.
And I'm Ben Heltzer.
And today we're going to be going over both conference championship games as well as our predictions for the NFL honors. So the first game we're going to get into is the Eagles and the Commanders. I mean, that first drive looked pretty good from Washington, even though it only came out with a field goal. But you got the fake punt showing how aggressive they are. And then, Saquon Barkley, one of his 3 touchdowns of the day came from the first play of scrimmage for the Eagles. And I think from that point on, the Eagles just dominated.
Yeah, no, 100%. Washington definitely ran out of gas, and you can tell that Saquon run just completely demoralized that team. They were never able to recover from that, and their defense got exposed 100%. The Eagles put up like 55. And then the offense wasn't able to do what they normally have done, which I also said last week, because the Eagles defense is no slouch. I mean, Washington went up against Tampa and Detroit, two of bottom defenses in the league, especially Detroit. And then they go into Philadelphia, who has the top-ranked defense in the entire league, and they just completely got silenced on offense. So I think that it was a great win for Philly, but Washington just shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Washington Commanders fan, though, you got to look in the mirror at the end of the day and say to yourself, like, did I really think this team was going to make it here?
Yeah, no, you have to be proud. You have to be proud of your team if you're a Washington fan, and just leave it at that.
Yeah. So then we get to the AFC Championship game. Ben, I know it was a tough loss. I was rooting for Buffalo too. I didn't want Kansas City to win, but they did. So they will play the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know why I didn't expect anything different. I had a feeling Kansas City was going to win. I said it last week. They're scripted to three-peat. The NFL just wants them to be this team of destiny that's going to do what no other team has ever done, and it's fine. It sucks that Buffalo has to get the short end of it, but yeah, I don't really have much to say about this game. It was a great effort. I'm not surprised by the outcome, but it doesn't mean I like it.
I mean, yeah, that game, I feel like there was something wrong with that game, because I feel like on that should have been face mask on Kansas City. And then, of course, the Dalton Kincaid drop at the end, which I don't know how Josh Allen made something of that, but, he almost got the first down.
I mean, if Dalton Kincaid catches that, that's the best play of Josh Allen's career and one of the best plays in playoff history. But unfortunately, he drops it, and that's the reality. So
yeah, I think that should have been on that 4th and 1 with the tush push for Josh Allen.
And
I think that
obviously that should have been a first down. It is what it is.
Yeah. So now we get into the NFL honors, which are the Saturday before the Super Bowl. So we're going to do our predictions really quick. So for Coach of the Year, I'm going to go with Dan Quinn for the Commanders. He comes back into head coaching this year with a new team. And even though it's a regular season award, he takes Washington back to the playoffs for the first time since 2020. And, I think him and Jay and Daniels had good chemistry throughout the whole year, and I think he should win it.
I definitely like that pick, but at the end of the day, it's a regular season award. I mean, all awards are regular season awards, so I think that it should go to Kevin O'Connell. I mean, nobody expected this Vikings team to be any good, and they went 14-3, and they're in the top 5 teams in the league for basically the entire season. And I think that it was a great season for Kevin O'Connell, and I think he deserves it.
Yeah, I like O'Connell too. I think, I wouldn't be upset if they went with O'Connell over Quinn. So then we have Comeback Player of the Year award. For my pick, I'm going to go with Sam Darnold. I think, he led the team to 14-3 in the regular season. Coming back after 3 years with the Jets, a year in Carolina or so, and then San Francisco. But, I think Sam Darnold's finally found his team, and I think Minnesota should re-sign him and keep him as their starting quarterback.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a great pick. I'm going to disagree, however, and go with Joe Burrow. I think that coming off of a season-ending injury last year, he had the best statistical season of his career and the best statistical season of any quarterback from the season by far. He led the league in passing yards and passing touchdowns, and I think that if he got the award his second year in the league after his season-ending injury from his rookie year, then there's no reason that he shouldn't get it this year.
Yeah,
I love Darnold, though, but Burrow's just been unreal this year.
I mean, with Burrow and the Bengals, I really wanted to see them in the playoffs this year. I really did. But I'm looking forward to seeing them next year if they make it. So then we have Defensive Rookie of the Year. For my pick, I'm going to go with the young Philadelphia Eagles cornerback, Cooper DeJean, whose birthday is actually on the Super Bowl. So, he'll be playing on his birthday. But, yeah, I think, the rookie out of Iowa, he didn't have that high of expectations, but I think he did really well. And, he's going to be playing in the Super Bowl for the Eagles.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick, but I'm going to go with Jared Verse from the Rams. I think that he was an absolute monster this season, and he really came alive in the playoffs as well. I know it's a regular season award, but he was just a freak all season, and I think that he definitely deserves the award.
Yeah. So then we're going to go with Offensive Rookie of the Year. So we both agreed on that. I think the most obvious one should be Jaden Daniels. He might have had the best rookie season we've ever seen from anyone in the NFL. And I think, I'm looking forward to watching him in the future. I think that he might be able to get a Super Bowl in Washington.
100%. I think he's already cemented himself as the best quarterback in the NFC, and he definitely deserves this award. I do want to give a shout-out to Brock Bowers, though, because he was absolutely unreal this season, was the best tight end by far, had one of the best rookie receiving seasons in history as a tight end. So I think that if Jaden Daniels didn't exist, it would definitely go to Brock Bowers, or it should definitely go to Brock Bowers. But I think Jaden Daniels just outperformed him in a more important position at the quarterback position.
Yeah, Brock Bowers, you got Bo Nix, too. I think he did a really good job with the Broncos.
Yeah, this is a great rookie class.
The receiving class, good all around. Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas. All those guys, I think, are really good.
Definitely bright futures for all of them.
Definitely. So then we're going to go with our Defensive Player of the Year award. And, again, we both agree on Patrick Surtain for the Denver Broncos. He's just one of those shutdown corners now for Denver.
Absolutely. I was just about to say that. He's been locked down all season. And, no defensive player really stood out that much from this season. So I think you got to give it to Pat Surtain. I think the first DB to win it since Stephon Gilmore. Back, I could be wrong on that.
I think you're right, Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, back like a while ago. So it's a great year for Surtain.
Yeah. So then we're going to go with Offensive Player of the Year award. And I think, we both have to agree on this one again. Or I think everyone has to agree on this one, Saquon Barkley. I think, in my opinion, I think he should win MVP, but I don't think he's going to win it.
No, he won't win MVP because they don't give it to skill positions, but he will definitely win Offensive Player of the Year. He had the best statistical season, arguably, of anyone in the league. 100% deserved. He was what the Eagles need to get back to the Super Bowl, and I think that he fit that role perfectly. Over 2,000 yards rushing. It's this one's obvious.
Yeah, I agree. But I think, with Saquon and the MVP, because everyone's talking about maybe Saquon should win MVP and not a quarterback this year. If he doesn't win MVP, then no running back ever is going to win MVP. It's going to be a quarterback every year.
It's just not a stats award, though. That's why they never give it to a running back.
Yeah.
It's not a statistical award, which brings me to my MVP pick. It's Josh Allen. And even though Lamar Jackson has been statistically better, Josh Allen has been way more valuable to his team than Lamar has been. And at the end of the day, MVP stands for most valuable player. And if you put Lamar on the Bills and you put Josh Allen on the Ravens, the Ravens are 14-3, maybe even 15-2. The Bills are like 11-6. And that's just not arguable. So I think it has to be Josh Allen.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think, I don't think Josh Allen would be a wrong pick, but I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson because even though it's not a stats award, really, he's leading Allen in every statistical category ever. Interceptions, Allen has higher. Touchdown passes, Lamar has higher. But I think Lamar Jackson is going to win it again. And, he's already going to have 3 MVPs. Or he might have 3
I just
MVPs.
hope Allen gets something out of this season. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Well, that's it for us on the NFL, but up next is Smitty and Jake to talk about college basketball.
Hello and welcome back to the highlight reel. College football is now over, so me and Smitty are going to cover some college basketball this week for a quick episode. Let's get right into it.
Today is Wednesday, and this is the top 25 for the week of January 27th. Let's talk about some top hot teams, top players, and top stories around college basketball.
Yeah, so let's just talk about some teams who are hot. First off, Michigan State. They're 12 straight wins right now. I think they're very exciting to watch. You know, they got Cohen Carr, I don't know if you see, he's flying all over the place, dunking the ball. They're coming off wins versus Rutgers and then number 18 Illinois, so they're heating up, especially after what feels like, you know, some down years for Tom Izzo, you know, legendary coach, but they're definitely heating up this year, 17-2 now, ranked 7th in the nation.
Yeah, and then moving on to Auburn, who is also very hot. They're the number 1 team in the nation with 11 straight wins. They have a star-studded roster. 6 players averaging double points a game, or double digits a game, led by Johnny Barome, averaging 17.8 points, 10.9 rebounds, and 2.8 blocks. Just a good year for him.
I mean, they're just star-filled roster. That's what they are, and their only losses to Duke. Yeah, obviously they're hot. I'm not sure how many games they won in a row, but they haven't lost since playing Duke, and even that, they just looked off that game.
Yeah.
And then they got guys that come off the bench like Tahad Pettiford, star freshman. He's been standing out the most to me. I've been watching him since his high school days in Jersey, and he is just a spark off the bench every game. He's fearless in the big ones, and he's fun to watch. So it'll be cool to see, you know, the way Auburn takes it into the rest of the season because they're off to a tear to start.
Yeah, and Auburn has absolutely beat everyone, ranked, unranked, no matter what. Like, they're all their opponents. They're 18-1, and like you said, their only loss is against Duke.
Yeah, and speaking about Duke, let's talk about them now. They're number 2 in the nation. 2 losses, but those were, you know, a little bit hiccups earlier in the year. 14 straight wins now. Been super dominant in conference play. You know, what are your thoughts on Duke this year?
Of course, they have star player Cooper Flagg, the freshman. He has 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists, and also 1.2 blocks per game. That's just great stats as a freshman, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's definitely the best player in college. You know, it took some time to figure it out. I think he started slow earlier in the year, and a lot of people were saying that, but he's been on a tear.
Yeah, I agree.
And they also got Con Knipple. He's been great. Him and Cooper Flagg, the 2 freshmen, has sort of been leading in scoring. Knipple's averaging 13, so they've been just dominating this year for Duke.
Yeah, and well, I don't know much about like basketball, but like 2 freshmen like leading like Duke, that's got to be really good. Like especially
it's a little bit more common in basketball because, you know, usually freshmen are usually a lot better in basketball than I would say football.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's definitely super impressive. Cooper Flagg and Con Knipple.
Yep.
Because they have a lot of veteran guys in the roster too.
Yep.
Like Sion James, he's been making a big impact. Tyrese Proctor.
That's good.
But
yeah,
a lot of transfer guys.
Yeah, and then moving on, we're gonna flash the 2020 or the 25 graphic again. 2 other teams that have been making some noise are recent 15 ranked St. John's and 21 ranked Louisville.
Yeah, absolutely. St. John's, yeah, I still think they're kind of underranked. They got to prove themselves a little bit more, but they've been very dominant in conference play. You know, besides that 1-point loss to Creighton, you know, they're 18-3, really starting to heat it up. And they got some legit guys. R.J. Lewis Jr. averaging 17.8 points per game. He's leading the pack. Kadari Richmond recently transfers from Seton Hall. I watched St. John's versus Seton Hall in person, and they were booing him the whole game. He's been great for them. You know, just a lot of talent on the St. John's roster this year.
Mm-hmm. And, like, from when I was watching March Madness last year, like,
No, they didn't make the tournament last year. They barely missed it.
So, like, they're having a great season so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's looking like that they will make the tournament this year.
Yeah, definitely.
If they keep playing the way they're playing.
First in the Big East.
Yeah.
It'll definitely be exciting to see what Rick Pitino could do with the squad because, you know, he's a legendary coach. He got some hate last year because they didn't do too well, but they got a lot of talent this year. It'll be cool to see.
All right, moving on now to our next team, Louisville. They're having a great season so far. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, they haven't been that great in basketball as of recent. Last year, they weren't great. They looked to be not that good. Started the year 6-5, but they're now on a 10-game win streak. They're on a tear now.
Yeah, and then
they're now ranked.
They're the 21st ranked team in the country.
Yeah, they've just emerged as a good team out of nowhere. But some tough losses to begin the season, but looking really good in conference play. Just took out Wake Forest. Wake Forest is a great team. Destroyed SMU. Beat Clemson. Clemson's pretty good. They've won every conference game now except for Duke. So I think they could keep this up.
I mean, that's also hard. Like Duke's the number 2 team in the country, and they're only
and they
21st.
played them pretty well. They played them. I think they lost by 8 points. So
that's not bad. So a ton of new teams in the mix this year that weren't really good at all last year. I wouldn't say good, but not in the
really weren't
ranking.
In the mix like they were
weren't
year.
In the mix or in the rankings. So it'll be interesting how it turns out when March comes around. So
yeah, well, it's definitely going to be a great weekend of games. So stay tuned for that. We got UNC versus Duke, but that's going to do it for today. Don't go anywhere. Next up is Andrew talking about soccer.
Hello, I am Andrew Mirzaaghasi, and I'll be talking about soccer once again. We're going straight into the Premier League because Man City has finally done it again. They have finally won another game. They have secured a victory over Chelsea this time as they were able to score 3-1. That's right, 3-1 against Chelsea. Finally, they didn't choke this time as they were able to keep their ground, score. Defense was good. Garviola, Haaland, and Foden, in that order, have decided to score. This is great news because finally we are back on the leaderboard and we might have a chance to go back to the Champions League. But I should probably hold my tongue because this team is literally a flip coin, as I mentioned. They decide to either fumble it in the very last minutes of the game, or they make miracles happen like this where it goes 3-1 for some reason. But the only thing you could do is just learn from this experience this season because, my God, this was a disaster of a season as it was. Before I move on to Barcelona, I would like to mention that this game in the Champions League is probably the final time that Man City have a chance to stay within the Premier League as they are technically one spot less from being disqualified. As their match, I forgot what team, sadly, this is their last chance. This is a must-win. If they do not win this, they end up being eliminated from the new format instead of going leg 1, leg 2 with a different team. We'll just see how it goes. I'm hoping they win their next match so they can go to leg 1 and leg 2 with a random team. But that's all how it goes. Let's go to Barcelona and see how they're doing. So going from the La Liga, they immediately destroy Valencia 7-1. Oh my God, 7-1 with an absolute pity. That's just one goal. Barcelona just scored 7 goals in this game. And another game that I forgot to cover the last episode, which was a huge upset, which was against Benfica. It was 5-4, a huge comeback from Barcelona. It was such an incredible game. Rafinha made them win with the last-minute goal. It was truly unbelievable. It was a true upset. Again, many people were not happy, especially from Benfica, who thought they had it in the bag. But man, that was a game you had to be there for. And honestly, I'm proud of Barcelona because Barcelona right now is doing an incredible job. They may have not been winning the La Liga because of Real Madrid and Atlético Madrid. But Champions League, yeah, they're doing good as well. I will say that. They're in the top 3. I know Liverpool's first. But yeah, I hope they continue doing well in their own tournaments. One last thing for this soccer segment before we go to the stats for the Premier League. The United States national soccer team won against Costa Rica 3-0. I wanted to include this because I want to see the United States soccer team grow as they were able to go to the round of 16 in Qatar in 2022, only to lose to the Netherlands, sadly. But they made it to the round of 16, so I'm kind of proud of our team. And hopefully, due to 2026 being our time to shine, especially because we're hosting it, I want to see this team grow. I want to see this team do better. I know we have Christian Pulisic, but honestly, I want the whole team to grow. Pulisic especially because with that one goal against Iran, making them go to the round of 16, I want to see if we can move on from the round of 16 to then go further beyond. But we could only see from there Like I said many, many times during this, I want them to succeed. I want them to hold their ground. I want the other nations to show that the United States has a good soccer team and not a joke. So now we go to our standings for the Premier League. In first, we have Liverpool with 53 points. Second is Arsenal with 47 points. Third, Nottingham Forest with 44 points. Fourth place, Man City with 41 points. And fifth is Newcastle with 41 points. So now, Man City is now in fourth. Now they are qualified for the Champions League. Hopefully they can keep that, because last time they were in fifth and they went to the Europa League. Hopefully they can stay put. They can go to the Champions League and they don't mind being first, because honestly, I have a feeling that Liverpool are going to win this year. There's no doubt. They lost their chances. Man City already lost their chances a lot. And I can say for now, they're not winning the season. Liverpool's going to win, most indefinitely. We'll see for now. But that's it for soccer, but don't go anywhere, because Rocco and Matt will be talking about the NBA.
On the highlight reel, we got some more games to cover today. Rocco, first game, the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. Timberwolves taking this one 133 to 104. Thoughts?
I mean, yeah, just good effort from the Timberwolves. I know they've been slipping a lot this season, considering the trade with Karl Anthony Towns doesn't look like it's going to be a win for them. I know Julius Randle's been playing well, but Dante DiVincenzo hasn't been the superstar that he was in Gotham. You look at here, Edwards 34, Randle 21, Gobert with 14. Look, I like the Timberwolves. I've always been not a fan, obviously, because I'm a Knicks fan. I know I'm in a Lakers shirt, but you get the picture. The Timberwolves have always had a great fan base, and they've just had great players, and I wanted to see them compete. The Knicks Timberwolves was my matchup for the championship this year. Only one team looks like they got a chance to get to, and the Timberwolves are just not like what are we doing here, man? We got to start picking up the wins. So it's a nice win for them over the Nuggets, and let's see if the Nuggets can bounce back against my New York Knicks.
Moving on, we got the Celtics and the Mavericks. Celtics taking this one 122 to 107. Thoughts on this one?
I mean, look, the Mavericks, they're still a good team. No takeaway from that. The Boston Celtics, they've been slipping this season, but you got to remember, they're the defending champs. They're the Boston Celtics for a reason. We had, for this one, Tatum 24, White 23, Jaylen Brown 22. Surprisingly, Jaylen Brown actually got over double figures this time. What do you know? Look, Coach Mazzulla, he's a great coach, and this is just what the Celtics do when they're in stride. They just know how to win games, and they dominate games. I know only 15 points. It's not too much, but the score doesn't tell the story. The Celtics, they deserve this one, and it's a good win for them.
Moving on, we got the Thunder and the Trailblazers. Thunder taking this one 118 to 108. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with a great game, 35 points. Any comments on that?
Yeah, following him was Jalen Williams with 24, and Isaiah Hartenstein. I miss him so much in New York. 14 points for the Thunder. Look, I think the Thunder are the best team in the NBA. There's no doubt about it. You can argue, you could debate it, but the way I see it, the Oklahoma City Thunder are on top of the mountain right now, and they are chasing after the crown of the Boston Celtics NBA championship title. I don't think you can name a better team. This team blew out the Knicks, made a nice comeback against the Knicks when they were at home. What else needs to be said? The Thunder are who they are, and I see the West running through them this year once again.
Finally, we got the Knicks and the Grizzlies. Knicks taking this one by a whopping 30 points or so. 143 to 106. Thoughts on this one?
30 points. We're talking almost 40 points here, Matt. New York Knicks, stand up. That's my New York Knicks. And look here. Let's start off with Mikal Bridges. I mean, listen, all the naysayers talking about he can't play defense. He can't score. He's not any good. Mikal Bridges had 28 points, followed by Karl Anthony Towns, 24. Jalen, big body, Brunson, 20 points. And look, the Knicks needed this win. I know they had that really rough patch. So they looked gross to watch after that 9-game, 10-game win streak or so ended at the hands of the Thunder. They weren't the same. They ended up getting blown out by the Thunder literally a week later at the Garden. So the Knicks needed this. They're on a 4-game win streak and a tough matchup coming up against the Nuggets at the Garden. Can't wait for it. Let's go Knicks.
That's going to do it for us today, but don't go anywhere because next up is Myles and Luke on the NFL and their coaching staff.
Welcome to the highlight reel. Today we're going to be talking about NFL head coaching hires. So to start, the Saints are the only team without a head coach currently. Kellen Moore has gotten an interview that we know of, and Mike Kafka somehow has gotten an interview. Luke, what do you think?
Neither of them should be a head coach. I mean, they're both not good offensive coordinators. Kellen Moore is a good offense, but that's because he's the most talented in the NFL. They should be so much better than they are the Eagles' offense. And Kafka, I don't even understand. He doesn't even have a good offense.
Yeah, that's kind of what the Saints do. They're a poorly run organization, and they're like $70 million over the cap, which is unbelievable in today's NFL. Yeah, that's kind of what they do. They hire guys who have no coaching experience. Dennis Allen, terrible hire. They really lucked out with Sean Payton. Somehow they got him and Drew Brees together. But outside of that, they've been a disaster.
Yeah, I think they should really consider hiring Mike McCarthy. He's not a great head coach, but he's fine. He's not as bad as these other options. He's been a head coach before, has experience, and it just won't be terrible. So that's basically the goal, is that he's better than Kellen Moore and Mike Kafka.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of badly run organizations, the Cowboys have hired Brian Schottenheimer, obviously son of Marty Schottenheimer, who was a head coach for a while. I think it's an interesting hire. Obviously, just elevating your offensive coordinator, not going to change a lot, but I like it.
The Cowboys, you had McCarthy before, fired him. Schottenheimer wasn't even calling plays last year, which is really the only reason I don't understand this, is that they fired their head coach who was calling plays and promoted their offensive coordinator, who I don't really know what he was doing last year if he wasn't calling plays. So I think there are better options for them. It's not terrible, but there are other people they could have went with that would have been much better options to be the head coach.
Yeah, I think Dak also really likes him, if we're guessing. So that could also be why. But I like it.
Yeah. And the Raiders, they hire Pete Carroll. I think that is a great hire for them. A head coach, been around, knows the NFL, and just like a veteran head coach that is just going to be good for a young organization.
Yeah, I like the hire also, but this also tells me that the Raiders are probably going to trade up and draft a quarterback, or at least draft one. Because Pete Carroll, he's like 73. He's not waiting around. He's not going through a rebuild. It's like, look, they already have Max Crosby. They are going into a win-now window with a lot of cap space. So I like the hire. I think Carroll's still got it. He obviously connects with all the players. Have you seen that video of him playing quarterback for the Seahawks?
Yeah. No, he's a really good head coach. I think that's a great hire for them.
Yeah, he's good.
I wasn't expecting it at all. I didn't know he even wanted to come back to coaching.
Yeah, I thought he was just retired.
Yeah. Patriots hiring Mike Vrabel. How do you feel?
I like it. I think Gerard Mayo was an idiot, to be honest. I think he was way in over his head, and Vrabel's going to finally provide some stability to this team that needs it. Obviously, young quarterback, a lot of young players on the defensive end, and I'm hoping we're just going to be a tough running the football team next year, and we're not going to allow 40 points a game like we did towards this end this year.
Ramondre Stevenson running the ball a lot?
Yeah.
Holding on to it and not fumbling?
Yeah, that's an issue. If he fumbles 7 times like he did this year, we might have to cut him. But, Zeke's a free agent. We could bring him back.
Yeah, that would be great.
Feed Zeke.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so moving on, your Jets get Aaron Glenn. Luke, how do you feel?
Absolutely love it. Former Jet, first-round pick. Hopefully just turns the culture around. That's really what it's about. We're not hiring – like a guy with solid, they hired a defensive coordinator to come be the head coach. With Aaron Glenn, you want him to just completely change the culture. I don't care how his defense is, per se. It's the whole team. You want everyone to buy into to the culture, change everything around. And the Jets have been a disaster for pretty much ever. Mm-hmm. And you just need him to come in and just turn the entire organization around.
Yeah, I think obviously hiring these defensive coordinators, you bring them in, they're not going to have anything to do with developing a quarterback, which is what you guys need. But they'll basically do everything else. Jets had a good defense under Robert Saleh, so now hopefully they're going to try and get that back. And just, as you said, a culture builder. And I think coming from the Dan Campbell tree, he's obviously got some experience with culture, so I like the hire.
Yeah, and all of these former players, coaches, everyone that's known him has said good things about him.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Yeah.
Now, moving on, one of the biggest name hires, the Bears getting Ben Johnson.
Yeah, I think it's a good move for them. One they had to make. When you're supposed to be a superstar quarterback, wants this head coach, You just have to go get him.
Mhm.
He was really good with the Lions. Their offense was amazing this year and was last year too. So I think it's a good hire. I'm not sure he's really, like I was saying about Glenn and Vrabel, really. Not sure he's a head coach type. He's more just a play caller, but he could still be a good head coach.
I don't like the hire. I think it's going to be a disaster. I think he is not a leader in any way, shape, or form. You see him. He obviously didn't have much to do with the culture in Detroit. I watched Hard Knocks a few years ago. He wasn't really doing much other than just, telling Goff where to go. But if the Bears are going to do anything, it's going to be because of Ben Johnson. Caleb Williams, all the talent in the world. Roma Dunze, incredibly talented. They got to fix the O-line, but they can do that in the draft. This is really a huge hire for the Bears, and I personally don't think it's going to work out.
It's going to be either really good or really bad. Either he's going to make their offense one of the most dominant offenses in the league, or it's going to completely fall apart.
Yeah, they're either going to go 5-12 or 12-5.
Yeah.
So for the last hire, we have the Jaguars hiring Liam Cohen. His press conference was just yesterday. It was pretty hard to watch, but
Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. It was Adam Gase to the Jets bad of a press conference. Maybe not that bad, but it wasn't good.
yeah, it was just not good. But press conferences, they don't really mean much. On the field is all that matters, and I personally think it was a good hire. I like what Cohen did with Baker this year. So what do you think?
He's another guy similar to Johnson, doesn't have the leadership I see in those other guys like Carroll, Vrabel, and Glenn, but he's a good play caller. He's good at drawing up plays. So hopefully that's what they want their offense to be a lot better. It's like Caleb Williams with Trevor Lawrence. He was that guy coming into the league where he could be a superstar. He still has a ton of talent, so that's what they want to try to get out of this.
Yeah, and he has the luxury of having a true number one receiver in Brian Thomas Jr. And also they have Parker Washington, who was pretty good at down the stretch last year. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, some of these guys will get fired after the first year, like Gerard Mayo, if they show absolutely nothing to suggest that they should be a head coach. But, obviously we wish the best for. That's all for this week on the highlight reel. We'll see you next week.